Common Core standards are once again making news, this time strong support from voters. Plus, legalizing pot? It seems there's support for that too from what you may consider an unusual place. And Detroit retirees may be buying health insurance on the new exchange. Tonight's stories affecting everyone across the state, and MiWeek starts right now.
Michigan's turnaround is being powered by things we do better than anywhere else in the world. Today's global leaders routinely turn to Michigan to work on their most difficult problems. That's because the engineering talent in this part of the world is simply the best. So many possibilities lie ahead for Michigan's future. These opportunities are here and starting to happen. The vision for the new Michigan. Share it, talk it up, drive it home. Funding is also provided by Delta.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us tonight from our Midtown studios. I'm Christy McDonald. There is a lot to talk about tonight, starting off with a new poll showing that Common Core standards are supported by a majority of voters in Michigan, even though many acknowledge they know little about what it really is. Plus, the State Bar of Michigan wants an end to secretly funded judicial campaign ads. The group wants Secretary of State Ruth Johnson to require disclosing where the funds came from to pay for those ads. And earlier this week, news that emergency manager Kevyn may offer retirees a stipend to buy health insurance on the new marketplace exchange. Also coming up tonight, state lawmakers are looking to expand current Michigan law that could mean you'll pay sales tax on purchases made online. Also in Lansing, there is talk of legalizing pot. Michigan lawmakers could take up the measure later this fall. And Wayne County Commissioner Laura Cox says she wants an emergency manager in Wayne County. So we're going to start there tonight with our contributors, Nolan Finley, the editorial page editor of the Detroit News, and Stephen Henderson, the editorial page editor of the Detroit Free Press. Gentlemen, what a week. How are you?
We're well.
You're very well. Things can't be said the same for Wayne County, though.
Well, no, Wayne County's in a world of hurt, and you know we've been paying attention to Detroit, and that's been to the benefit of Bob Ficano and Wayne County because nobody's writing a whole lot about them, giving them a whole lot of attention. But if you look at their numbers are almost as bad as Detroit. They just passed a new budget that's still in deficit after Andy Dillon, the treasurer, put them on a program for the past year. They still can't balance their budget, and their pension liability is just huge. They're 60% underfunded in pension. If Detroit weren't in emergency management, I bet they would have put, the governor would have put Wayne County under emergency manager. He just doesn't want them both there at the same time.
Well, why would he want both of them at the same time? If the county needs help, the county needs help. Here in the end, right?
Well, and look at it this way. You have Detroit under emergency management. You have Highland Park about to go back under
Detroit schools.
Emergency management. You have Detroit schools. You had E-Course that was under emergency management, and now you have Allen Park that's going there. I think the problem is that essentially the whole jurisdiction is in trouble, and so sending another emergency manager actually not going to fix the problem. I think you got to start thinking about a different way to do government and to deliver services in big urban places like this. And that's been, I think, lurking in the background of this conversation for a long time, and we don't have anybody yet coming up with an idea really to say, here's how we should do it differently. But putting Wayne County under emergency management really won't solve the problems there because, again, you've got all these jurisdictions inside it that are going bankrupt too. We've got to figure out a better way to do this.
Steve, the problem in Wayne County is incompetent leadership. You've got—
That's part of the problem.
It's a huge part of the problem.
Yeah.
Bob Ficano just squandered $120 million on a jail project that's going nowhere. Before that, it was $35 million on the Guardian building, $35 million on a racetrack. Who builds a racetrack in this day and age, a horse racing track?
Well,
that's $200 million of the people's money. You can have all kinds of restructuring.
But that stuff is
govern.
actually not driving the insolvency in Wayne County. What's driving the insolvency is the pension
money.
costs,
You've got to service that debt.
the jail, the current jail, the operation of
Yeah,
the
the
jail.
Wayne County Sheriff's Department.
Let's talk about how they
Pension.
manage the pension. That's a management issue.
No question. But even if you straighten all that stuff out, you're still talking about places that's losing revenue and tax revenue and population in a way that means it's very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to sustain.
But
the
okay, let me
service
you
ask-
got
let
a
me
guy,
ask you this
Christy.
then.
He mentioned pension. You got a guy who just retired from Wayne County, 41-year-old, is going to collect nearly $100,000 a year for the rest of his life, plus health care. That's not a structural problem. That's
Where
a
are those deals?
real
Where are those
problem.
deals when I'm looking for? But let me ask you this about Laura Cox. Does she share in some of the blame? Did the commissioner share in some of the blame
she's been a lone voice for a reason there. I mean, she's the only Republican on that board.
A lone voice, really?
She's a lone voice for reasons.
There's actually some good people on the
well, they haven't
saying the
spoken.
same thing.
They haven't been speaking up. They pretty much let Ficano run.
Are they part of the problem, though? Should they have been a little bit more
They're
stringent
a
with
little
what they're
bit
doing?
they're a little bit of the problem, but they're a legislative body, just like Detroit City Council. They get the budget from Ficano and can make changes to it. It's not like
They're not blameless in this whole thing,
right?
Right? But Laura is a very good lawmaker. Laura actually should run for county executive.
Well, she probably
this time.
Is this the
I don't know. I've talked to
trial
her.
balloon? Is she kind of floating a trial balloon
I
here?
don't know.
There's no question that if you were going to run for county executive next year, this is the exact kind of thing you would do or say to raise
stand
your
out in
profile.
front of it and say,
and it's
hey,
not a bad move, right?
I don't.
But the conventional wisdom is that a Republican can't win that office in Wayne County. But if she's running against Bob Ficano next time, if Bob Ficano manages to get through a Democratic primary and on a crowded primary ballot, he could get through. If she's running against Bob Ficano, she wins going away.
All right, let's turn now to Detroit. Detroit Emergency Manager Kevyn Orr is floating a new plan to replace current health care benefits for retirees under 65 as he continues to move the city through the bankruptcy process. Published reports say the plan would provide $125 as a stipend for retirees to buy health care insurance on the new marketplace, which opens on October 1st as part of the new Affordable Care Act. Now, we heard kind of these details coming out in June. Do you think the committee representing the retirees are going to go for this?
Well, not willingly. I think that's some tough stuff. $125 a month doesn't even get you started on an insurance premium for retirees. That may be what, 20% of what they need, and that's really a tough move. That's almost as harsh as the pension sacrifice he's asking them for.
Yeah, it's a pretty drastic cut. I think one question, and we won't know until they get it up and running, what will be the least expensive plan you can buy under this exchange? I think Blue Cross, who plans to participate in the exchange, plans to offer some pretty low cost plans. The other question is how many of these people will be qualified for Medicaid. I mean, we're expanding Medicaid in the state as part of the Affordable Care Act as well. Some of these people may be able to get picked up that way, but I mean, again, this is the thing that says this is why you don't go bankrupt. People are going to get hurt.
That's right.
I mean, there is no easy way to balance the city's books, and that means taking money from places that you don't want to have to take it from. And
that's where most of the money, $6 million of this, or $6 billion of this debt is healthcare.
Of the unfunded liabilities.
That's healthcare. So you think that healthcare is going to go unscathed is just dreaming. It can't.
You know, I also want to bring up the article that was in the Free Press today about the relationship or the lack thereof between Kevyn Orr and Dave Bing, and how Dave Bing basically feels like he's out on an island. And when you look at the chart that you guys put in the paper saying everybody that's reporting to Orr right now and what Dave Bing really has to do, it's a very interesting. This is not surprising, though, to you, Nolan.
Well, no,
you're giving me that look that you're not surprised.
You've got an emergency manager. This is not a joint rule situation.
Yeah, but didn't they say that there was supposed to be at least some working together?
Sure. They did that to make everybody feel good. But if you look at the schools, emergency manager, the superintendent is gone, and the school board is off on the side more or less. I mean, there's still some show interaction, but it doesn't mean anything. That's what emergency manager is. He's a dictator, and he's there for a short period of time to get things done.
Yeah, and I also think one of the interesting things will be to see what happens after the election, when we have a new mayor who will get control of the city back once Kevyn leaves and they declare the emergency over. I think you might see more of a cooperative relationship at that point, because
wait a minute. Let me stop you. You think there's going to be more of a cooperative relationship at that point when Kevyn leaves, or in January when you've got a new mayor?
I think after the election, because you've got to be able to leave an intact administration to govern this place after emergency management, and you're not going to be able to do that if you're just keeping them
but
completely out of
that's
things.
just one side of the equation. You've got to wonder, if you're Kevyn Orr, do you hope Napoleon wins or Duggan wins? You know, you could see Benny sort of going along and not making a whole lot of waves. I can't see Duggan not making a whole lot of waves. He doesn't. He is not going to be content to sit in the sidelines, to wear his golf shirt to work like Bing does. He is going to want a piece of this. He didn't run and spend all this money to sit on the sidelines.
You really think that Benny Napoleon, though, would just sit there and
I don't think. I mean, what kind of faith? I think the question is, what kind of faith will Kevyn Orr have in Benny Napoleon as mayor? And I don't know that either of us can answer that right now. I think there's more likely a chance that he will have faith in someone like Mike Duggan, who's run major operations before. They have a little more in common.
But Duggan's whole thing throughout this campaign is, I'm going to go to Lansing on day one say, get rid of Kevyn Orr. I can do everything he can't. I think the clash of egos is going to be enormous. I think,
I'll tell you this.
I think Benny's personality would be more conciliatory, and I think he would.
So you think it would be detrimental?
Behind the scenes now, there have been talks between the Duggan folks and people in Lansing about what should happen after this election, and I think
are they telling him to tone it down?
I think there is no intention to freeze out the mayor to the extent that Dave Bing is frozen out now after the election. You can't do it. If you're going to leave next September or October, you have got to start preparing elected leadership to lead and to govern. And you know, Mike Duggan's saying a lot of things right now on the campaign trail. It's stuff designed to be campaign fodder, right? That's how you win elections. I think once we get closer to the actual day of inauguration in Detroit of the new mayor, you'll see a change in that relationship. It will the pugnaciousness will be toned down, and there will be more of a cooperative tone.
So you don't blame Kevyn Orr for the relationship or the lack thereof right now with Dave Bing?
I think I think there are a lot of reasons that the relationship with Dave Bing didn't work out the way either side thought it would initially. I mean, initially these two liked each other and thought that they'd have a good partnership. I think when Kevyn got here and saw how things were operating inside the city, that went away. It cooled. And think about it. Think of how badly this administration has managed the city for 4 years. Part of the reason we're in this situation is because this administration didn't act swifter on things like, how about making your budget? There's something like 15 city departments that run over budget every year.
But Christy, I mean, one of the things that is interesting to me is this mayoral race is having trouble getting its head above the bankruptcy news and everything else. I mean, you don't hear as much about it. It's certainly not getting the attention that past mayoral races.
It's a little early too, right?
Well, it's
past week after Labor Day.
Post Labor Day, that's when you go into full run, and I haven't seen it.
Why?
Why?
I think one of the reasons is somebody's taken a beating, right? I mean, Napoleon got beat bad in the primary, and there's no indication that he's done anything or seized any opportunity to make up that ground. It's really hard, I think, for people.
Have you seen
I think both campaigns will tell you that their internal polling says this is still a very broad. There's still a very broad gap between the two candidates, as much as 20 points. And so, what's the campaign?
20
what should the campaign? Well, that's what he lost by. He lost by 20 points. He lost by 23 points actually in the primary.
So what role will turnout play? I've always thought that a low turnout favored Duggan, but if the polls are showing 20 points,
you have to. The only path for Napoleon to make that ground up is with new voters, people who did not show up
as Kilpatrick did.
As Kilpatrick did.
And that was very
think about it this
interesting.
way: Kilpatrick increased the turnout from primary to general by 72% in 2005. It was the most ever in history.
Right.
Benny would have to better that, in fact, to make up the gap that he has right now. So
All right.
And it's interesting that Benny hasn't changed his message either. I mean, he's still sticking to that same message. I'm the guy who knows what it's like to live in Detroit. He doesn't know what it's like to live in Detroit. Didn't work in the primary. I don't know.
People aren't buying it.
No,
Voters are not buying it.
He's got to change it. And there, of course, there's going to be debates, right?
Well, we hope
there should
so.
be.
There should be.
They
I
need
think
to come right on this show.
That's right.
and have
Public
a debate.
television.
Welcome to MiWeek at any time,
This
Mr.
is
Duggan and Mr.
the
Napoleon.
This is the most effective debating format. It's been proven that way over the last few years. Gets more coverage statewide and locally than any other any other outlet.
I think Nolan just did a commercial for us. Are we even allowed to do a
actually,
commercial
Nolan
like
and I
that?
are looking forward to having the other WADL debate. You know, the
that's canceled.
circus
That's
ring 2,
canceled.
right?
All right, stop. We're going to move on. We'll be looking forward to that, though. All right, if you're counting, we're just 2 weeks into the new school year, and a new poll by Education Trust Midwest shows a majority of Michigan voters support the Common Core state standards. The poll shows 71% of voters favor implementing the program and just 18% oppose it. Common Core standards are internationally benchmarked and intended to create consistency between states and improve college and career readiness. So these standards were adopted by the State Board of Education in 2010, but the legislature has not approved funding for the program. All right, so we're still in a little bit of mix. Now,
Well, there you
Nolan is
go.
rolling his eyes because he says
Yeah.
Common Core standards, but there's
No,
still a
there
problem in
you
the
go.
legislature.
I'm
'cause
rolling my eyes at the poll. I mean, you've got an organization that's been advocating for these standards. You're not going to expect them to produce a poll that shows anything but this. I don't think the standards are going to pass the legislature. This legislature has already given the governor a very tough vote on Medicaid. I don't think going into an election year they're going to go on Common Core because their polling tells them something different.
There seems to be at least some support for the curriculum, but it's the testing
It's that, yeah.
that people are
It's the
having.
federal role. It's the federal role.
They're having a problem with.
If it passes, and I think I agree with Nolan that it doesn't look like it's going to, but if it does, it will be because they bifurcate it, right? They'll accept the standards and delay the test.
Yes.
Now, I think that's a very weak compromise that doesn't get us anywhere close to where we need to be in terms of standards and enforcing them and holding people accountable, but it's better than nothing.
They've got to do what they did with Medicaid and come up with a Michigan solution because these lawmakers are not going to buy a program that's attached to the federal government. They're just not going to do
I
it.
got to tell you, my son brought home his math workbook this week. It said Common Core right on the front
Excellent.
of it. So
There
there
you
you
go.
go.
They're good standards, so no reason not to teach the standards.
There you go. All right, as we get closer to elections in this state, it's likely you're going to start to see and hear more political ads on TV and radio, and many of those ads tout issues, and they're paid for with what's called dark money, which essentially prevents the public from knowing who donated to the campaigns to pay for these ads. Now, the State Bar wants the Secretary of State to rule on whether these kinds of ads should be required to follow campaign finance rules. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think this, it was interesting, the State Bar's proposal didn't address the situation we had here a few years ago when Figer donated money or gave money to his employees to donate back to candidates. I mean, everybody wants to limit the other side's ability to spend money, but not their own.
We have a conflict of interest if we're, especially with a lot of these the judge
Yeah, I mean, I
elections.
think the point is that elections in the state are filthy. They're an embarrassment. The way that money gets spent, the way that money gets accounted for and reported, we can do better than this. And
we
it doesn't
haven't
matter
seen-
whose idea it is. If it's a good idea, we ought to do
No,
it.
but it
Yeah.
should be comprehensive. You should take the money out on all sides, not just one
Agreed.
side.
Agreed.
And for years here, in decades here, the State Bar and the trial attorneys had a free run at these elections, and they're getting a little nervous now because the other side's starting to spend money.
Well, I think what we ought to do is first of all, I don't think judges ought to be elected anyway. I mean, that's sort of silly. But
That's
if
a
they
bigger
are,
bigger conversation.
If they
Well, it's
are,
all
we
part
ought to.
and parcel.
There is a very strong case to manage those campaigns much more tightly than political races.
Except
All right.
Michigan voters been electing very good courts over the last 10,
No, they
12
haven't.
years.
They've been,
Excellent
horrible
courts.
courts.
Excellent courts.
You could take a hit in the wallet if Michigan legislators move forward with their plan to require online retailers like eBay and Amazon to collect sales tax on the items sold to individuals here in the state. 2 House bills are currently under review to expand Michigan's current laws, and actually just made it out of committee. So people are supposed to be actually reporting that sales tax if they don't pay it online right now, but this is another way.
Do you buy those shoes from Zappos? Do you record that
I don't
for
think
your
we're
income
talking
tax
about
form?
my shoes right now, Nolan. What about
We're always
this?
talking about your shoes. I don't know on this one. I have mixed feelings on it. You hate to see this sort of free economy of the internet get shackled more and more by government regulation and interference. There is a fairness issue. If you go to the mall, you're going to pay your 6%. If you go on Amazon, that's your choice to pay it or not.
Well, it's also about modernizing the tax structure in the state. If most sales are ultimately going to be in an arena where they're not collecting sales tax, then what's the purpose of the sales tax? You either got to extend the sales tax to that new area, or you come up with a new way to raise
get
revenue.
rid of it altogether.
Right. Well, because we don't need to pay for schools or anything like that.
Let's talk about something interesting, the conversation in Lansing, turning from internet sales tax to legalizing pot.
Now there you go.
And
That's
Nolan was
something
very
Nolan's all
excited
in
about
favor
this
of.
topic this week.
I think it's the only sensible solution. You've now got the ridiculous situation of people in some places going to jail for doing something that is ignored in other places. The legal code at least should be consistent and fair. We had a case where in Michigan that we've been writing about, the Forsbergs from around Lansing, father and son. They ran they rented space to medical marijuana growers and suppliers for warehouses. Complete compliance with state law. Complete compliance with state law. They were unaware they weren't in compliance with federal law, so the feds swept in, arrested these otherwise law-abiding citizens, never been in trouble, good citizens, and they're serving 3 years in jail. Now the feds come out and say, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to arrest those types of folks anymore, and yet they're going to still serve their 3 years. It's just absurd.
Well, I mean,
The
we've got
pro-pot folks say that this is a tipping point, that it feels that the movement across the country might be
It may be. I
tipping point.
mean, this is an evolving area of the law, right? I mean, we're taking a drug that for as long as anyone can remember, we've treated as contraband, and now talking about moving it into the mainstream. That's not going to happen overnight.
But it's laws that people have been ignoring. I mean, what percentage of the population do you think have ignored pot laws at some point in their life? And you look at the hypocrisy.
But you could make the same argument about any drug law, right?
No,
sure
I mean,
you could.
Marijuana is probably the most commonly used drug, Steve. And you got the government reaping great revenues off bourbon and other liquors, and then sending pot users to jail. The inconsistency of that is just.
Well, they're two different things,
okay,
right?
go ahead.
Alcohol and marijuana aren't the same thing, and that doesn't mean that pot is worse scientifically, but it is different. I mean, you can't just lump it all together and say, well, let's legalize everything. I mean, I think you have to have an intelligent discussion about, if we're going to legalize this, how are we going to manage it? One great question is, with alcohol, we prevent people from doing things like drinking and driving, right? And we test people when cops pull you over to see if you've been drinking. Is that possible with marijuana? Can you tell if somebody's high?
I also
when
think
they're
you
driving?
have to start thinking about kids in an educational,
you prosecute the
educating
behavior.
them as
You
well.
prosecute the bad driving.
But my point is,
not,
there's a whole
not what they
there's
did
a whole
before
legal
that.
there's a whole legal architecture that's got to be built to deal with this in a rational
At
way.
this point, the laws are inconsistent. You have some
Agreed.
people going to jail, other people not going to jail.
But federal law is always
unfair.
always
But even
supreme.
among the state law, when we had medical marijuana, if somebody said, my back's hurt, and they got a certificate, they're not going to jail.
That's how you got yours.
The guy who says, Jesus, I had a bad day, I'm going to smoke some marijuana, he's going to jail.
Do we need to watch what's happening in Colorado first before
Yes.
we
I think
make
that's
up
a
our
good.
minds here in Michigan?
I think Colorado, Washington. There's, I mean, there are people who are again having these conversations about how do you manage something that you have forever said don't do it. Now you're going to say it's okay to do it, but again, the effects of it will affect other parts.
Prohibition doesn't
Infrastructure,
work.
education, and how
Legalize
you're going to
it,
talk to
tax
kids about it.
and
Yeah.
you can pay.
You do the same thing with cocaine?
You can pay for. You can give him the tax revenue. He's so.
You're just starting a whole new show, aren't you,
You want
Stephen?
to start you do the same thing with cocaine?
All right.
Heroin?
I think if you look at our effectiveness in keeping it off the street, I may answer that
right.
yes.
Okay.
Oh my
A lot
gosh.
of people would agree with that.
Here we go. It's time for headlines. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other stories that made headlines this week. And one of them, Charles Pugh has surfaced. The former president of the Detroit City Council was in New York at the NABJ convention, which is the National Association
Looking
of
for a
Black
job, I assume.
Journalists. I'm still just staggered by the fact that he took off and he is gone. And he has never come back to say, hey, you elected me to an office that I just vacated and left. And he shows up at a journalist conference. I don't know how anyone could hire him with that kind of track record.
So he shows up at a journalist conference and nobody writes about it. That's the
Right.
bigger
What were they
question.
doing, right? What were the guys in the
I
room
mean,
doing?
it shows you how dramatic the news in Detroit. This disappearance of Charles Pugh has gotten almost no play since the spring. You
Right.
know?
Any other city would be on the headlines every day.
Where's
right?
Charles?
Where's Charles? I'm disappointed in him too for what he did. I also think at some point the city council has got to, just for the record, address that. Right? You have a council president who has just gone and abandoned his office. I think in terms of setting a precedent, we got to say You can't do that. And
But
Yeah,
if
and
you're
I'm-
on
Have no
vacation and
consequence.
you spot Charles Pugh and you send us a video or a picture, we will send you a Channel 56 mug and one of those John Denver CDs or
go-
the
don't go
Irish
start-
Girls Dancing.
Don't go start promising those things, Nolan. People will hold you to it. What,
Send them and we'll send you, and a tote bag.
oh, what did you see this week? What's
Well,
your
Steve and
headline?
I were over to Cobo Hall, the center, the new ballroom they've created over there. It is absolutely stunning. Open up, big vistas to the river. It's the way the thing should have looked like from the beginning. I think it's going to be a real winner for Detroit.
They've done some nice work there, huh?
Yeah, no, it's very
Yeah.
stunning. I mean, and again, we built a convention center on a river with no river views, only in Detroit.
We're learning. Last couple seconds, what do you got?
Prediction, Lion season, 10-6.
Ooh.
You heard it here first.
Are you really putting money down on that?
10-6.
That's a headline.
Channel 56 mug.
I'm already at 1-0.
Stop promising
I'm already at 1-0.
swag. All right, well, that is going to do it. Thanks so much for joining us for MiWeek tonight at our Midtown studios. If you missed any shows, check out our website, myweek.org. Share your shows with friends on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. For all of us at Detroit Public TV, I'm Christy McDonald. Make sure you come back and see us next week. Take care.
Michigan's turnaround is being powered by things we do better than anywhere else in the world. Today's global leaders routinely turn to Michigan to work on their most difficult problems. That's because the engineering talent in this part of the world is simply the best. So many possibilities lie ahead for Michigan's future. These opportunities are here and starting to happen. The vision for the new Michigan. Share it, talk it up, drive it home. Funding is also provided by Delta.